However, these men are not all Francis men. Many of these men have never met.
So how much do the cliques and how much will the cliques play a role in this conclave?
Well, evidently they played quite a role in the last election because it was the St. Gallen Mafia that won its candidate. Its candidate was Bergoglio. Yeah, I don't believe that they're all going to sit down and say, yep, this is it. I think most of them are in agreement that the church is in a dire place. A lot of them do come in with an agenda. I think that's a good word to be using. They do come in with an agenda, and they also come in with themselves as being candidates.
It seems to me these cardinals realize that everything is at stake in this conclave. Do you think so?
Yeah, I believe they do. I believe they do. They have a number of obstacles to overcome before they get into the voting.
What do you think about a Cardinal O'Malley stepping out on the loge?
By the way, my name is Joe McLean. I host a radio program called A Catholic Take, where we look at the world through a Catholic lens. I'd love for you to hang out with us. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and let us know what you think in the comments below.
Father Charles Murr is going to be our guest. I want to get his take, the background on the backroom dealings of these cardinals as they begin to talk to each other. What are the most important issues on their minds? You might remember a few years ago, back in 2022, there was a letter circulating amongst the cardinals from an anonymous person, Demos, who was telling the cardinals that there were some things they need to truly consider in the next conclave. All of the real troubling issues that have plagued Holy Mother Church in the Francis pontificate. This was several years ago, and it turns out it was Cardinal Raymond Pell. It was after he died that it became known that he wrote the letter. And now we are seeing some of these cardinals talk about what they're concerned about going into the conclave. This Canadian cardinal, Michael Zerny, he's upset. He's worried that these cardinals will not give us a Francis II. I'm concerned that no matter what happens, the cardinals will give us somebody that lots of Catholics simply will reject no matter what happens. And as Cardinal Muller pointed out, the risk of schism seems incredibly high. Father Murr, good morning to you. Happy Easter. Praise be to God. Christ is risen. How are you?
Happy Easter. Indeed, he has risen, Joe. Indeed, he has.
Yeah. Did you, going into Easter, did you think coming out of Easter weekend, we'd be thrust into the situation we are with the passing of Pope Francis, God rest his soul? That surprised me.
No, I actually thought we'd be thrust into the situation much before this time.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I did too.
I thought this was going to happen a month ago, you know? Yeah.
But then he was wheeling around Vatican Square, and I thought, okay, maybe he's on the mend. I was surprised that Monday morning. Were you?
Well, I've got to tell you, the first time I saw that photograph of him being wheeled through St. Peter's Basilica, it looked like they had taken him from a shave and a haircut. That's the way we used to get haircuts with that sort of apparatus on the front, and they put a thing there to protect you. It looked like he was in the middle of a haircut that they took him out. It was the most incredible thing I've seen in a long time. But with him, wow. He certainly he was the Pope of surprises.
Yes, he was. That's definitely one of the words being
surprising
to talk about his 12 years.
Yes, there are other words. Yes.
There are other words. That was one of them. Trying to be nice. Okay, so we were spending a lot of time thinking about the conclave right now, and I was asking this question to Matt Gaspers in the last segment. I want to ask you the same question. It seems to me, from the outside looking in, I mean, my speculation in a nickel will get you about nowhere, Father. So it seems to me these cardinals realize that everything is at stake in this conclave. Do you think so?
Yeah, I believe they do. They have a number of obstacles to overcome before they get into the voting. I think, first of all, we do all of them a disservice thinking that they are Francis men. Though 80% of them were named by Francis, how shall I put this? Pope Francis did a lot of things haphazardly. He started things and didn't finish them and without starting haphazardly. I think he did a lot of naming haphazardly, except for the United States. He knew very well what he was doing there. Those were sort of vengeful appointments. And he knew what he was doing in Washington and elsewhere. However, these men are not all Francis men, because he didn't even know who he was appointing. Not really. He had to take other people's words for it. Now, all of these men are going to get together, and first of all, they have to see who they are. Many of these men have never met. They don't know each other. They don't know each other's ideology. They don't know one another's faith. And they have to come to terms with all of that, and they will during these days. A good thing are these pre-conclave talks that they're having, which gives every cardinal the possibility standing up and stating who he is and what the church is needing, according to him. This is not a campaign for vote for me. It's a statement of, I come from Manila, and in Manila, the situation of the church is this way. I come from Jerusalem, and in Jerusalem, the situation is this way, on and on and on. So that we get really, all of the cardinals at least, voting, get an idea of the universal church and what she needs. I think most of them are in agreement that the church is in a dire place, place. I don't think that would be. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. I think most of them would see that.
So, do they come into these meetings with? I want to say the word agenda, but that's not what I mean. Do they come into these meetings with, like, this is what I consider the top priority? Do they have a top priority when they're discussing this in these meetings?
Yes, a lot of them do. A lot of them do come in with an agenda. I think that's a good word to be using. They do come in with an agenda, and they also come in with themselves as being candidates. You see, the problem is you can't present yourself as a candidate, because if you present yourself as a candidate, you lose. You have to present yourself as a non-candidate. It's very strange
awkward.
because we're playing with humility in all of this, and humility has to be number one. It's very funny, but what they're going to get across are the needs of the church in different places of the world, and then they're also going to get into the needs of the church universal, and it's in the universal sense that we have a real crisis.
So, how much does the clique play a role? We've talked about the St. Gallen Mafia in the past. Clearly, McCarrick boasted about, lobbying for Bergoglio, and I guess that meant all of his buddies, Tobin and Whirl and Gregory and Supich and McElroy. All of the McCarrick clan all came together to help, vote for Bergoglio. So how much do the cliques and how much will the cliques play a role in this conclave?
Well, evidently they played quite a role in the last election.
Right.
They played quite a role in the last election because it was the St. Gallen Mafia given a second chance that won its candidate. Its candidate was Bergoglio. His candidate from the beginning was Bergoglio, even when it was the conclave dealt with the two major candidates, Bergoglio and Ratzinger. Ratzinger won barely, and Bergoglio was right behind him. This was Bergoglio's second chance, and they weren't going to lose it. And McCarrick and company were certainly behind him. They did everything they could to bolster his appointment or his election. This is what's wrong with the elections. You know what's wrong with it, Joe? It's run by people, and people vote. It's the human.
Should we have AI bots from Tesla run this thing? And maybe that would make it more fair.
You might be surprised at that outcome too. Well, we're not great with dealing with perfection.
The thing that confuses me is contrast makes things clearer. You know where people stand. The ambiguity, I think, is what's difficult. The grayness, the middle ground, can be sometimes really difficult. And we're seeing certain players like Cardinal Dolan, for instance, sort of intimate that, we want another Heart of a Francis kind of a guy, but he needs to have some more theological meat on the bone, which is interesting for Cardinal Dolan to make a statement like that. We got Cardinal Muller basically saying we're at risk of a schism right now if we elect another Francis. I wish he would have been that forthright when Francis was alive. But we wait till he's dead. Now we start making these statements.
Joe, I couldn't agree with you more. But this is the problem. There's such a respect for the office, not necessarily for the man of the Pope, but for the office of the papacy, that to say something against something that the Pope is holding out as true, or his opinion on something, his opinion is almost sacrosanct. You don't dare go against it. This is why the names of the few cardinals that during those 12 years that came out and actually challenged him, we know their names because there were so very few, very few, and very courageous, and not heard. So this is not the way to do anything. You have to be very careful. This is not Democrat Republican politics as usual. It's not that at all.
How many days do you think the conclave will go? How many days will the conclave go? I think it's going to take a longer time. I think it's going to take a longer time. Yeah, I don't believe that they're all going to sit down and say, "Yep, this is it." I don't believe that. I think there are some agendas that are going to be presented. There's a group that already want Francis 2.0, and Cardinal Parolin. And they're behind him, and that's what he's pushing very diplomatically, very humbly. He's very humble, very humbly,
and yes, and proud of it.
Yeah,
no one beats him in humility. Anyway,
nobody. He's probably riding the Roman subway right now with a photographer just to ensure that humbleness. I'm guessing,
and taking notes to self for later on, for later reference how I did it. Yes,
right. Yeah. This is for the memoirs. I got to tell you, it's there's no end to the drama in the story, and it's. I guess that's one thing to say is we definitely don't live in boring times. No matter what happens, no matter who comes out on that loggia, we live in dramatic times, Father.
I've been saying that since the beginning. These are really interesting and dramatic times. If nothing else, they're interesting and dramatic. They're not boring. I've got to tell you, we had yesterday here in Spain, we had a national blackout.
What did
you read about that? I wrote you. I didn't even know if it was going to be on the program today.
Right.
The electric grid went in the entire country, parts of France and parts of Portugal. It was incredible. We were so desperate. I got home yesterday just as this hit. I couldn't get gas at the gas station. I'm on empty because the gas station runs on electricity. So the pumps weren't working. I get home and the electric battery that we got in the car is on empty, and I couldn't charge it. It was incredible. But you know what happened? Some of the neighbors came over and we sat down and for the first time in years talked.
Really?
It was so much fun. It was so much fun. It's amazing. It's a whole new world out there when you talk.
Whole new world.
Yeah.
Well,
talk and listen. And I think that's what the Cardinals are going to be doing in these days. They're going to be talking and listening. Don't believe anybody who tells you he knows who's going to be elected Pope, because I don't think anyone knows. I don't think anyone knows. As a matter of fact,
we really
I'm sure
could
they
be
don't.
Surprised. I mean, that I said that I think it was either earlier yesterday or maybe it was late last week. I can't remember. I said Cardinal Muller could walk out on that balcony at this point. I mean, who knows? Just who knows? And there's talk of Cardinal O'Malley. What do you think about a Cardinal O'Malley stepping out on the loggia, Father?
Did I say anything?
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't think I did. Yeah.
You didn't.
Next question.
The silence speaks volumes, Father.
Because you want more, and I want to give it to you. I'm rolling out a brand new membership program for the insiders of this channel. Join today. There's something for everyone. And because you could help me fund the next documentary film, the next book project, audio drama, audio narrations, and other projects that I have been dreaming to work on, but simply don't have the resources to accomplish. You and I together can do amazing things. You want more, and I want to give it to you.
Who is the author of Murder in the 33rd Degree. Speaking of which, Father, welcome back. Did you see the Freemasons' heartfelt, sincere condolences to the passing of Pope Francis? That was interesting.
Yeah, how'd you like that, Joe? How did you like that? Wasn't that wasn't that
one of their brothers
warmed the
passed,
cockles of your heart?
It did.
Huh?
It warmed the cockles of my heart.
Yeah.
That's true.
You know, I got to tell you something, and you know this already. You might know an awful lot about a man by the friends he keeps. You also know him by his enemies. But I'll tell you something. When the world starts praising a pope, you know you're in trouble.
Yes, exactly. James,
that's true. I mean,
the letter
really
to
is.
the fourth chapter on the letter of James.
You know you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James 4, he makes it clear.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly the problem. And we've got the world loving the past papacy, hating Ratzinger, by the way, the same world. But they loved the last one. And the last one was everything about him. I'm not saying he's a Freemason. I'm not doing that. All right. It's sort of like Matt Gaspard just in the last section. Matt is a very good friend of mine, and I like him an awful lot. He's a good man, fine mind. But he said properly, and he was correct. He said you can't call a person a heretic until he's judged. That's true, but at the same time, I know my heresies. Right?
That's right. Yeah.
And I know them, and I can apply them liberally as I wish. I just have to keep my mouth shut as far as judgment is concerned. Well, the same thing here. But when the Freemasons of the Grand Lodge of Italy is applauding you for being the right kind of pope, you're the man we needed. How do you take that? How do you take that as with a smile and a bow? You got to be kidding me.
Father, you don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure some things out. You know what I'm saying? Like you can put two and two together pretty quick, which makes me ask the question then, how I think I asked the audience this yesterday. We had a poll up yesterday, and I think a lot of Catholics like myself want to see the next pontificate rolling back some of those big troubles, those big problems that we had in the last pontificate. Do you think these cardinals are thinking that? Do you think that they are going to be focused? Is the preeminent issue going to be rolling back some of these issues under the Francis pontificate, Amoris Laetitia, Fiducia Supplicans, Traditias Custones, Laudato Si? I mean, there's just a list of them, right? That they are going to be just simply focused on rolling those back. Will that be the biggest issue of the day, or will there be other issues that are going to take precedent?
Well, I see what you're saying, and I agree readily with what you're saying, because you're asking a question, but you're also making quite a statement, and it's a statement with which I agree. It has to be addressed. It has to be addressed. The mistakes of the last 12 years have to be addressed, and they will be. Now, will it be in the next pontificate? I don't know. Sometimes these things take up to 50, 100 years to address.
I don't have that kind of time.
Sometimes what people would like to do with a political mindset, Joe, and you know this, they'd like the problem to go away. Just go away. Forget about it for a while. And when nobody can forget about it for a while, then they'll address it officially. But I think something like that has to happen. Cardinal Mueller said absolutely correctly, and I've been saying this for years, we are on the verge of a declared schism. Let me make a distinction here. I believe we already are in schism. I believe it. It's just not declared. We have, if you will, at least two churches. Sometimes I think they're up to 50 going on under the umbrella of Catholic. This is outrageous. This can't be. This is like a circus. And we need unity. And I think the next pope has to deal with that problem head on. The unity of the church and bringing everything back and being clear, not muddled, not in muddy waters, not confusing, crystal clear about the morals and the dogmas of the Catholic Church. Very clear.
You and I have discussed.
It'll take time.
You and I have discussed in the past, having you on the program, the pontificates of John the 23rd, Paul the 6th, JP1, JP2. One of the common things you've always said to me was these guys were not, it's not as though they were bad men. They were just weak men. And they didn't have that spine that they would need to govern well. That's important, I would argue. Whoever steps out needs to be both a virtuous, faithful man, but he also has to have that gravitas with which to stand up to the curia and the bureaucracy of the Vatican, don't you think?
Let me put it to you this way. My mentor, Monsignor Mario Marini, was a little bit earthy at times. His sense of humor was earthy, right? Do you understand? You understand that? Yes.
I get it. Yeah.
And so many times, actually, I was going to say one time. He said it to me many times. He said, "It's curious that canon law requires ut due habet, that the candidate have two." Right?
Yeah.
That the candidate for priesthood have two, right? That the candidate for bishop have two. That the candidate for pope have two. Well, then he said, well, now, as soon as they make sure the candidate for all of these clerical offices has two, then they tell them you can't use them. Or can he? Can he? And is he to use them in a different way? Now, I'm sorry for those I've offended by being too earthy, quoting an earthy man. But that's what we're talking about.
I got it.
You got it. You finally got it. I knew you would. I knew you were clever the first time I met you. Now, here's the thing. How long is it going to take to find a man who is capable, who really, truly will take the bull by the horns and do something? You need a real man and a strong man. You have to have a man who's not worried about how he's thought of. And he knows God, he knows himself. That's it. That's the kind of man you need. And to do the right thing. We have such men. They exist. They're few and far between. Usually they're not put into high offices because they have an opinion. See, the less opinion you have, the better off you are being a success in the clerical politics. This is just the way it is. But every once in a while, a great comes through. A great. And that's what we need right now. We need a great.
Yeah.
We need a great. We need a man who's going to call things as they are.
My concern is either A, we're going to get a guy who is okay in some areas, but is pretty weak, generally speaking, and probably won't stand up to the pressures of the bureaucracy. Or B, we're going to get a Parolin who is a godfather with an agenda, and he's happy to express that papal authority, just like Francis was happy to leverage that authority to the full extent of his wishes. I'm worried about that. I don't feel like we're going to get a guy who's going to step out, who has that courage, and will also be faithful to the great traditions and patrimony and faithfulness of Christ and his church. So I guess we'll see. That music means we're out of time. Father Charles Murr, if you can hang out in the after show, we'd like to continue that conversation and take...
Did you like that video? It's okay. You can admit it. It's perfectly fine. Hey, we cover the big stories of our day, from inside the church to outside the church to all points in between, and we do it from a Catholic perspective. It's called a Catholic Take. It's a radio program Monday through Friday. We live stream it right here on this channel, by the way, so make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We would be very grateful to you. And don't forget, you're going to want to watch this video right here because you don't want to miss anything.